Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. You know, one of the videos that I'm proudest of in my YouTube career, which goes back about 3 years, I think, is the video I made on the first Selcuk Aydin JoJo Dan fight, in which, and you'll see it in the title of the video, I encourage you to go back and look at that video, in which I made the argument that JoJo Dan, a greater than 4-1 underdog, in fact, the title is a plus 425 underdog viable? Just do a YouTube search for plus 425 Aydin, gamblersadvisory.com, and the video will pop right up. You could always find my old videos on my channel page just by hitting see all on the video blog and then doing a search for a fighter's name. In that video, I made the argument that even though the first Aydin JoJo Dan fight was in Turkey, just like this one is, I made the argument that JoJo Dan, who then didn't have a title and was a plus 425 underdog, 4.25 to 1, had a legitimate chance of winning that fight. And I further made the argument that if JoJo Dan was able to survive the first 3 rounds, because Aydin's nickname, of course, is Mini Tyson, then I thought he stood a good chance of winning the fight. I did caution viewers to be careful on the scoring, since the fight was in Aydin's backyard. What happened in that fight was that JoJo Dan came out, got dropped in the first round, got knocked down, then got off the canvas, proceeded to school Selcuk Aydin, and then got robbed on a very questionable split decision. In other words, he was this close to winning as a 4.25 to 1 underdog. In the rematch, I'm expecting more of the same. I like JoJo Dan in this fight. I think that JoJo Dan, quite frankly, has the faster hand speed. He is a combination puncher. We don't see this a lot in boxing, right? Not a Floyd Mayweather, hit the guy with a crisp counter and then move away. Or a Juan Manuel Marquez, hit the guy with a 1-2 and then change the angle. No, this is a guy in the mode of Sugar Ray Leonard, in the mode of young Cassius Clay, who literally will keep it popping for 8, 9, 10, 11 punches, right? And he's a southpaw. So people have problems against southpaws as it is. Just imagine a southpaw who actually has combination throwing ability, right? JoJo Dan throws combinations. He also has very quick feet. He's not a knockout puncher. Even though he has knockouts on the dossier, he'll drop you from a combination, not a single punch. But what he does is he goes around the ring throwing combinations. He's fluid. He's old school. He has the foot speed advantage, right? Unfortunately, with that, you take the good with the bad. With that, you get defensive recklessness. In other words, he'll drop his hands, right? As I say in the earlier video, he reminds me of Sergio Martinez and Ali. It's high risk. You throw punches, he just tries to lean out of the way, right? His hands are too low. He's daring you to hit him. Why? Because in his mind, he is always the most talented man in the ring. The bet I'm recommending here, and he's the underdog again in this fight, only he's just a 5-4 underdog. I think everyone now realizes that, quite frankly, he's the more skilled fighter. The bet I'm recommending here is that you take JoJo Dan to win the fight. You're getting better than even money, right? And you straddle that against Aydin by KO. Aydin is one of these heavy-handed guys, heavy-handed, who can take you out but he's not really blessed with great boxing skill. Not only that, although his nickname is Mini Tyson, people forget that Mike Tyson actually had lightning hand speed. You know, when Mike Tyson came inside, it was power shots, and he could quickly throw a hook, then come back with an uppercut. Speed was actually an element of Mike Tyson's game, and accuracy. You didn't see Tyson throwing the wide punches that young George Foreman, used to throw. Tyson threw short punches. Tyson threw them with speed. He was a quick fighter, cat-like reflexes. Even though Aydin's nickname's Mini Tyson, I don't think he has that hand speed. I don't think he has the cat-like reflexes. What he has is the punching power for his size. Typical example, he fought Sugar Jackson in Turkey, his home country. You would think that the judges would give him the benefit of the doubt. He then proceeded to knock Sugar Jackson down. This is what heavy-handed guys do, in 3 different rounds. That's Aydin's punching power, right? Knocks him down in 3 different rounds. And yet, on the scorecards, that fight was close, right? Well, my point is simply that Aydin always has a chance at a knockout, right? He's blessed with that level of punching power. But when you're fighting a Ray Leonard type, when you're fighting Jojo Dan, a guy who's going to get off combinations, who's going to taunt you, who's going to literally dare you to hit him while he's putting on a boxing display, and who is complex. In other words, Jojo Dan just knows the game. He's not going to fall into a pattern like we saw in the Marquez-Pacquiao fight, where he's chasing you around the ring like a puppy dog, unable to make adjustments, right? No, he's a guy who, like Ray Leonard, is making adjustments on the fly, right? He's a guy who is adaptive, reactive, so if he notices something and gets hit with something, he's not going to make the same mistake the rest of the fight. You saw that the first fight, where he gets floored in the first round against the puncher, gets up and spanks that puncher in his own backyard, right, before getting robbed by split decision. So I actually think Jojo Dan wins this fight, but I think when you're dealing with the type of puncher Aydin is, Aydin doesn't need a combination to take you out. He could take you out with one shot, right? When you're dealing with a nuclear bomb, anytime you're fighting a guy who has that kind of power, right? A Mike Tyson, a George Foreman type. When you're fighting a guy with one punch knockout power, you always have to straddle it with Aydin by KO. So I like Jojo Dan to win, straddle against Aydin by KO. Let's talk about what happens if this fight goes the distance. Let me just say this. It's been my observation that once you rip off a guy with a very questionable decision, we all know it, right? Whether that's Marquez-Pacquiao in the earlier fights. I know I'm going to get emails on this, but I think we all realize, watching the first 2 fights, that even though one was a draw and one went for Pacquiao, the second fight in particular could easily have gone for Marquez. And I think people register that when they see a fight, right? Now, the third fight I thought was clearly a Marquez win. Marquez was unlucky there. But what happens more times than not in boxing, Lennox Lewis, Evander Holyfield, is you watch the first fight in Lewis Holyfield, it was a draw. Then you see the second fight, and people understand, watching the second fight, that even though the first fight was ruled a draw, Lewis really got jobbed in that first fight. He actually beat Evander in that first fight and didn't get the decision. So then in the second fight, they're more predisposed to be fair to the wronged boxer, right? I know I'm going to get comments on this. I say bring the comments, let's discuss it. But I believe the consensus is that Jojo Dan got robbed in that first fight. When you look at the tape, quite frankly, While I'll agree that Aydin throws the bigger punch, he's clearly getting hit 2-1. He's clearly not the leader in the ring. He's clearly getting schooled by the faster, smoother, taller fighter, right? And keep in mind too, Jojo Dan has a great jab. When he wants to just live behind a jab and fight off his back foot, he can do that. And he can also fight off his front foot. As I said, he's an advanced, complex fighter, right? And so I think we all know Jojo Dan got jobbed in that first fight. If the fight goes the distance and it's fought at the same pace as the first fight, where Aydin just can't keep up with the volume, right? Aydin tries to come in and he's getting hit. Aydin's at the wrong end of getting hit with combinations. If it goes like the first fight goes, I think that even in Aydin's backyard, he won't be able to get a decision, right? I understand this is controversial. I know people say Turkey. You've got to be kidding me. Turkey's worse than Germany, I hear. The bottom line is this. I think the gap in talent between these two fighters is such that if the rematch goes the distance, I think Jojo Dan wins the decision easily. I like Jojo Dan to win the fight. I'll be shocked if he gets robbed a second time. I like him to win the fight. He's better than an even money underdog. Straddled against Aydin by KO. That's how I see it. Let me know how you see it. Leave your comments for me here on YouTube. Visit us at gamblersadvisory.com. Thanks for watching.